Albulena. One of the most devastating ambushes in all of medieval warfare. September 2nd, 1457. The Albanian mountains hold their breath. Through the morning mist, 40,000 Ottoman soldiers march forward, drums thundering, banners streaming in the wind. They believe no force on earth can stop them. But hidden in the shadows of the pines, 8,000 Albanian warriors wait in absolute silence, watching every step, every movement. The trap is set. The hunters have become the hunted. Then the world explodes. Boulders cascade down the slopes like falling stars. Trees, cut and rigged for days, crash across the narrow pass. In less than an hour, the valley of Albulena will transform from a peaceful mountain gorge into a graveyard. The year is 1457. Europe trembles on the edge of oblivion. For over a century, the Ottoman Empire has surged westward like an unstoppable tide, swallowing kingdoms and crushing resistance beneath green banners, emblazoned with the crescent moon. Constantinople, the eternal city, jewel of Christendom, fell just 4 years ago to Sultan Mehmed II, a young conqueror whose ambition knows no bounds. From the shores of the Black Sea to the gates of Vienna, fear spreads like winter frost. One by one, the Balkan kingdoms bend their knees. Serbia falls, Bosnia crumbles, the Hungarian frontier burns. The great powers of Europe, Venice, Naples, the Papal States, send prayers and promises, but rarely soldiers. The Christian world watches, paralyzed by division and doubt, as the Ottoman war machine grinds forward. But in the rugged highlands of northern Albania, one small land refuses to bow. It is a country of mountains and mist, where eagles soar above granite peaks and ancient fortresses cling to cliff sides, like the last defiant fist raised against the storm. This is the land of Giorgio Castriota. The world knows him by another name, Skanderbeg. They call him the Lion of Albania, the shield of Christendom, the man who cannot be broken. But Skanderbeg did not begin as a hero. His story starts in chains. Born the son of an Albanian nobleman, young George was taken as a child, a hostage ripped from his homeland and sent to the Ottoman court in Edirne. There, in the palaces of the Sultan, he learned the Turkish tongue, studied warfare under the empire's greatest generals, mastered the sword and the bow. The Ottomans gave him a new name, Iskander Bey, Lord Alexander, comparing him to the ancient conqueror himself. He rose through the ranks, commanded janissaries in battle, won glory under the crescent banner. But glory built on servitude is hollow. In 1443, during a chaotic battle in Hungary, Skanderbeg made his choice. He deserted, rode hard through enemy lines, returned to Albania with a handful of loyal men, seized the fortress of Kruja through cunning and speed, and raised the black double-headed eagle, the ancient banner of his people, above its towers. From that day forward, he swore an oath. Never again would he bend his knee to any sultan, any empire, any power that sought to enslave his homeland. For 14 years he has fought. 14 years of raids and sieges, ambushes, and desperate last stands. He has defeated Ottoman armies 5 times, sometimes outnumbered 10 to 1, using the mountains as his allies and his intimate knowledge of every pass, every hidden trail. Pope Nicholas V called him the athlete of Christ. Venetian merchants whisper his name with awe. But in Constantinople, Sultan Mehmed II speaks his name with cold fury. Yet the years have taken their toll. In 1455, at the fortress of Berat, Skanderbeg tasted bitter defeat. Overconfident, lured into open ground, his army was surrounded and shattered. Survivors fled into the high country, carrying the wounded on their backs. The Albanian cause seemed broken. In the taverns of Ragusa and the courts of Venice, men said Skanderbeg's time was finished. But the deepest wound came not from Turkish steel. It came from blood. Hamza Castrioti, Skanderbeg's nephew, the young man he had raised and trained like a son, accepted gifts from the Sultan's envoys. Gold, titles, promises of power. In the darkness of ambition, Hamza made his choice. He would deliver his uncle's head to Constantinople. The betrayal cut deeper than any blade. And now, in the spring of 1457, Sultan Mehmed II issues new orders. This campaign will not be punishment. It will be erasure. He assembles an overwhelming force, 40,000 battle-hardened troops, siege artillery, the finest cavalry from Anatolia. At its head, he places Hamza Castrioti. The message is clear. Albania's hope will be extinguished by its own blood. Across the Balkans, the machinery of war grinds to life. In the foundries of Macedonia, hammers ring day and night, forging spearheads and arrowheads by the thousand. In the camps outside Ohrid, officers drill their men beneath swirling dust, shouting orders in Turkish, Arabic, Albanian. Supply wagons creak under the weight of grain and dried meat. Horses are shod. Cannons are oiled and tested. War drums echo across the plains. Rumors spread faster than cavalry. They say this army is the largest ever sent against Albania. They say Mehmed himself has sworn not to rest until Skanderbeg's head decorates the gate of Topkapi Palace. They say Hamza Castrioti rides at the front, eager to prove his loyalty to his new master by spilling his uncle's blood. In the markets of Thessaloniki, merchants take bets on how many weeks Albania will last. Most say less than one. The army assembles like a great serpent uncoiling. First, the vanguard, Janissaries with their distinctive white caps, disciplined and silent, the elite warriors who have conquered cities from Baghdad to Belgrade. Behind them, waves of Timarite cavalry, land-owning soldiers. Wealth depends on Ottoman victories. Then the irregular forces. Thousands of Akinci raiders, mounted archers from the steppes, mercenaries from every corner of the empire. At the rear, groaning under the weight of cannons and supply wagons, the baggage train stretches for miles. On a morning when spring mist still clings to the valleys, the great army marches north. Banners snap in the wind, green silk embroidered with Quranic verses, the Sultan's personal standard, the blood-red flags of the Janissary Corps. The sound of their marching drowns out the songs of birds. Peasants along the road flee into the forests, abandoning their fields and homes. The earth itself seems to tremble. In his command tent, Hamza Castrioti studies maps by candlelight. He knows these mountains. He was born among them. He knows his uncle's tactics, his preferred ambush sites, his tendency to strike from the high ground and fade like smoke. But Hamza is confident. Numbers matter. 40,000 trained. Soldiers cannot be defeated by mountain guerrillas and peasant militia. The path is clear. Victory is inevitable. What he does not know, what he cannot see, is that in the mountains ahead, the trap is already closing. 2 years have passed since Berat, 2 years since defeat tasted like ash in Skanderbeg's mouth. But the man who sits now in the mountain fortress of Kruja is not broken. He is thinking, watching, waiting. When word reaches him of the Ottoman mobilization, 40,000 men, led by his own nephew, Skanderbeg does not rage. He does not despair. He walks out onto the fortress wall and stares at the distant peaks, their summits white with lingering snow, and a plan begins to form. He calls his captains. Most are old companions, men who have fought beside him for a decade. Their faces are scarred, their hands calloused, their eyes haunted by too many battles. He does not lie to them. "We have 8,000 men," he says quietly. "Half are farmers with spears. The Ottomans bring 40,000 with cannons and cavalry." The captains nod. They know the odds. "But they do not know these mountains," Skanderbeg continues, "and we do." For 3 days he rides through the valleys alone, studying the land like a craftsman examining fine wood. He knows every stream, every hidden trail, every place where the paths narrow between cliffs. And then he finds it, Albulena, a gorge so narrow that even a small army would have to march in a thin column, unable to spread out, unable to maneuver. Steep slopes covered in dense pine forest, perfect for concealment. Multiple exits for his forces to retreat if needed. It is not just a battlefield, it is a killing ground. Messengers ride from village to village. Church bells ring 3 times, the ancient signal. Every able man who can carry a weapon climbs into the hills. Women hide children in caves and deep forests. Blacksmiths work through the night, repairing old swords, hammering out crude spearheads. Monks bless the weapons with holy water and whispered prayers. In the forest of Albulena, the real work begins. Pits are dug across the main path, 6 feet deep, lined with sharpened stakes, then covered with branches and forest debris. Trees are partially cut, rigged with ropes so they can be pulled down across the road in seconds. On the slopes above the gorge, massive boulders are loosened, held in place by wooden wedges that can be knocked free. Archers select positions in the rocks, test their lines of sight, count their arrows. No fires are lit. Soldiers sleep in the cold. Horses are kept far from the ambush site, so their neighing won't give away positions. Scouts watch the roads from Ohrid, tracking the Ottoman advance, sending runners back with updates. The Albanians move like ghosts, leaving no trace, no sign of their presence. In the camp, men pray. Some write letters they know may never be delivered. A young fighter, barely 16, asks an older warrior if he is afraid. The veteran looks at the boy and says, "Always, but fear keeps you sharp. It keeps you alive." Skanderbeg walks among his men, stopping to place a hand on a shoulder here, exchange a quiet word there. He does not make speeches. He does not promise glory. He simply reminds them why they fight. For our families, for our land, for the right to live free under our own sky. The night before the battle, the wind rises, whistling through the pines. Skanderbeg stands alone on a rocky outcrop, looking down at the valley below. Somewhere in the darkness, his nephew leads an army to destroy him. Somewhere in that vast column march men who were once his comrades, his friends, his fellow captains under Ottoman command. War turns brothers into enemies, loyalty into betrayal. But tomorrow he will turn their strength into weakness, their confidence into terror, their numbers into chaos. The stars wheel overhead, the moon sets, and in the silence before dawn, the Albanian warriors take their positions, invisible, patient, deadly. September 2nd, 1457. The sun rises blood red over the eastern peaks. In the valley below Albulena, morning mist clings to the ground like a living thing, thick and white, reducing visibility to a few dozen paces. The air is cool, damp, pregnant with the smell of pine and morning dew. The Ottoman vanguard enters the gorge just after dawn. First come the scouts, light cavalry, experienced men who have survived a dozen campaigns. They see nothing unusual: an empty valley, abandoned shepherds' huts, no smoke, no movement. They ride back and report, the path is clear. Giorgio Castriota gives the order, advance. The army pours into the gorge like wine into a cup. The Janissaries march first, confident, their boots striking the earth in perfect rhythm. Behind them, the cavalry, thousands of horsemen, armor gleaming, lances raised. Then the archers, the irregulars, the supply train. The column stretches for over a mile, snaking through the narrow pass. At first, the officers joke and talk. Some place bets on whether Skanderbeg will even dare to face them in battle, or simply flee deeper into the mountains. A young Janissary officer laughs and says, "By sunset, we'll be drinking in Kruja." His companions nod, grinning. But as they move deeper into the gorge, something changes. The wind dies. Birdsong ceases. Even the insects fall silent. The mist grows thicker, clinging to skin, muffling sound. Horses toss their heads nervously. An old sergeant looks up at the slopes, dark pine forests, grey rocks jutting like broken teeth, and feels unease crawl up his spine. Giorgio Castriota rides near the front of the column. He too senses something wrong. The silence is too complete, too perfect. He signals a halt, calls his scouts forward. "Ride ahead," he orders. "Check the far end of the valley." The scouts spur their horses forward, disappearing into the mist. They never return. For a long moment, there is only silence. Then, from somewhere far behind, a sound like thunder. Men turn confused. What they see freezes their blood. Trees, massive pines, 40 feet tall, are crashing down across the road behind them. Boulders tumble from the heights, blocking the path they came through. The rear of the column erupts into chaos as men and horses are crushed beneath tons of falling stone and splintered wood. Screams echo off the cliffs. The retreat is cut off. And that is when the mountain comes alive. From the slopes, a storm of arrows descends. Not a scattered volley, but a black cloud, thousands of shafts falling like deadly rain. They strike helmets, punch through leather armor, pierce throats and thighs and horses' flanks. Men fall. Horses scream and rear, throwing their riders. Shields come up, but the arrows keep coming, wave after wave. The Janissaries try to form ranks, shields locked, but the path is too narrow. They press against each other, unable to spread out, unable to move. Orders are shouted, but in the chaos, no one can hear. The mist swirls, thick with dust and the acrid smell of blood. From the rear slopes, Albanian warriors charge down on horseback, screaming war cries that echo like thunder. They crash into the Ottoman flanks, swords swinging, spears thrusting. The impact shatters the column's formation. Men stumble into each other, trip over the fallen, slip in the mud now slick with blood. Hamza shouts commands, trying to rally his captains. "Forward! Push forward! Break through!" A group of Janissaries surges ahead, shields raised, advancing step by grinding step. Then the ground disappears beneath them. The hidden pits open like hungry mouths. Dozens of soldiers plunge downward onto sharpened stakes. Their screams rise above the din. Those behind them try to stop, but the press of bodies from behind pushes them forward, and more men fall into the traps. On the opposite slope, more Albanian cavalry appears. Where they came from, the Ottomans cannot tell. Everything is smoke and mist and death. The enemy seems to be everywhere and nowhere, striking and vanishing like mountain spirits. An Ottoman archer looses an arrow toward the tree line, but before he can knock another, a stone from a sling cracks his skull. He drops without a sound. All around him, men are dying. Not in glorious charges, not in heroic last stands, but in confusion and terror, unable to see their enemy, unable to fight back. Hamza rallies a group of cavalry, points toward a gap in the Albanian line. "There! Charge!" They spur forward, hooves pounding, lances lowered. For a moment, it seems they might break through. But from the rocks above, Skanderbeg has been watching. He raises his hand. Whistles pierce the air. More boulders crash down, directly into the path of the charging cavalry. Horses collide with stone, tumble end over end. Riders are thrown, crushed, trampled by their own comrades. The Ottoman line shatters completely. The battle descends into a slaughter. Everywhere, men fight in small, desperate groups, surrounded, outnumbered, dying. The Albanians move with terrifying efficiency. Strike, withdraw, strike again. They know every rock, every tree, every shortcut through the forest. The Ottomans flounder in unfamiliar terrain, their superior numbers turned into a liability in the narrow gorge. An Ottoman officer tries to lead his men up a slope to take the high ground. Halfway up, they are met with a hail of stones and spears. Only 3 men make it back down. The mist begins to lift as the sun climbs higher, revealing the full horror of the scene. The valley floor is carpeted with bodies, thousands of them, sprawled in the grotesque positions of violent death. Abandoned weapons glitter in the dirt. Wounded horses drag themselves in circles, screaming. The stream that runs through the gorge flows red. Giorgio Castriota fights like a man possessed, his sword rising and falling, carving a path through the chaos. He kills 2 Albanian warriors, wounds a 3rd, but his eyes search desperately for one face, his uncle's. If he can kill Skanderbeg, the battle might still turn. But Skanderbeg is everywhere and nowhere, directing his forces from the heights, orchestrating the destruction with cold precision. By midday, it is over. The Ottoman army, once 40,000 strong, is broken beyond repair. Those who can flee do so, stumbling back the way they came, climbing over the corpses of their comrades. Others throw down their weapons and beg for mercy. Many receive it. The Albanians are not here for vengeance. They are here for survival. Hamza escapes with perhaps 3,000 men, all that remains of the mighty host. He rides south without stopping, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. In a single morning, his future has turned to ashes. On the slopes of Albulena, Skanderbeg dismounts and walks slowly through the carnage. His sword is red to the hilt. His armor is dented and stained. He does not smile. There is no triumph in his eyes, only weariness. Around him, his men move among them, wounded, offering water, binding injuries, even to Ottoman soldiers. One of his captains approaches. "My lord, a great victory." Skanderbeg looks at the Valley of the Dead and says quietly, "Victory tastes like silence." The next day, the crows come. They circle in great black spirals, their cries harsh and mocking. The Albanian survivors work through the morning, burying their own dead, gathering abandoned weapons, tending the wounded. The smell of death hangs heavy. Skanderbeg stands alone on the ridge, looking down at the gorge. His captains want to celebrate. His soldiers want to sing his name. But he feels only the weight of years pressing down. He knows this victory, however total, has not ended the war. The Ottomans will come again and again, until he has no breath left. But for this moment, for this single, impossible moment, Albania stands. News of the slaughter spreads like wildfire. Riders gallop to Ragusa, to Venice, to Rome, carrying the impossible tale. In the courts of Europe, nobles and bishops gather around maps, shaking their heads in disbelief. 8,000 men defeated 40,000 in a single day. Some call it a miracle. Others call it the greatest ambush in the history of warfare. In the Vatican, Pope Calixtus III orders prayers of thanksgiving. In Venice, the Doge raises his cup to Skanderbeg, Shield of Christendom, the man who makes empires bleed. Across the Christian world, hope flares like a candle in darkness. If tiny Albania can stand against the Ottoman tide, perhaps others can as well. But in Constantinople, in the marble halls of Topkapi Palace, Sultan Mehmed II receives the news in icy silence. He dismisses the messengers, walks alone to his private chambers, and stares toward the northwest, toward those distant mountains he cannot seem to conquer. The name Skanderbeg burns in his mind like a brand. He will send more armies. He will send siege engines and mangonels and the finest generals of the empire. But in the quiet of that moment, doubt enters his heart. Can an empire truly break a man who refuses to bend? Years later, poets will sing of Albulena. They will call it the Valley of Tears, the Gorge of Ghosts, the place where the impossible became real. Historians will study Skanderbeg's tactics, the perfect use of terrain, the devastating coordination of his ambush. Military academies will teach it as a masterclass in asymmetric warfare, how a small, determined force can defeat a vastly superior enemy through cunning, knowledge of the land, and unyielding will. But the people of Albania will remember something simpler. They will remember that on September 2nd, 1457, when the world expected them to fall, they stood. They will remember the name of the man who led them, and they will pass that memory down through generations, a flame that no empire can extinguish. Skanderbeg lived another 11 years, fighting battle after battle, dying at last not from a sword, but from fever, worn down by decades of war. On his deathbed, he whispered to his son, "The mountains remember. Always the mountains remember." And in the Valley of Albulena, the wind still whispers through the pines, carrying the echoes of that September morning when 8,000 men stood against an empire and won. Not through mercy or chance, but through blood, cunning, and the unbreakable will to remain free. The eagles still soar above those peaks, And in their cry, if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of defiance that will never die.